You may remember Tom Bodett, the fellow who did the Motel 6 commercials. He had a saying that said, there's only 3 things you need in life to be truly happy. Have someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for. When I think about the season of Lent, I'm reminded of the 2015 Lenten season in which a real transformation had been taking place in my own life, in my journey of faith. I was in a new place to work, and yet I was in the pursuit of ministry at the time. I was in a new place of relationship beginning, and I was in a new search for that thing that would really bring me hope. Well, as it so happens, during that Lenten season, in the early part of March, there was a first date that was had. It was the beginning of my relationship with Bill, someone to love. There was still that something to do, and as it happened at that same weekend time when my relationship with Bill began, it was also the same weekend that I was being authorized as a minister in the United Church of Christ, that my years of ministry and experience in another denomination were being affirmed now in a new denomination, a new faith home in the United Church of Christ. Someone to love, something to do, something to hope for. What would God use me for next? I'd been praying in that Lenten season and even before about what it might be that God would lead me to do next, how God might use me. And the conference minister of the South Central Conference at that time, my friend Douglas Anders, called me one afternoon and said, "Steve, I've got something I'd like you to think about." In my previous denomination, it would have been called an opportunity for ministry. It simply meant there were challenges. There were things that were a part of this new place of ministry setting that would not be the normal church, but a place that needed a pastor, a place that needed someone to step in and share with them the love of Christ, someone who would help them know their own purpose and their mission, someone who would lead them to their next step of growth in life together. Interestingly enough, that was someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for. I said yes to the opportunity, to this new challenge, and I became part of a worshiping community called The Gathering. In San Angelo, Texas, this small group of folks from a great diverse background of life experience were committed to meet together, to be the church, to serve together. There were sometimes 8, sometimes 12, sometimes 20. No matter how many folks were there was a spirit that was alive. There was something palpable about the hope that they felt and what they shared and carried. I had the privilege of getting to be their pastor for a little over a year, almost a year and a half, before I took a new position of full-time ministry in Seattle, Washington. And when I think about that Lenten season, that year was so special. I found someone to love. I had something to do. And I had something to hope for that would take me to a new place, a new beginning, and ultimately, that would even lead me here to St. John's United Church of Christ, Fullerton. Because this is the first place that I've had the blessing of being able to serve as a settled minister, as a senior pastor of this great church in the United Church of Christ. What a joy it is in this Lenten season to know the God who brings Easter's hope to each one of us. That God reminded me, I have someone to love. I have something to do. And I have something to hope for, as do we all, as we look forward to the joy of celebrating Easter together. God bless you as you continue to journey in these days toward the road to the empty tomb.